An email revealed he was still in touch with Epstein in 2011, a year after he claimed he'd called the friendship off.
Welcome to Watch Mojo UK, and in this unranked list we'll be going through the biggest and most shocking news headlines from the UK this year.
Seeing the city in all its glory and then in a split second we've seen a disaster like that, yeah.
Before we begin, we publish new content every day, so be sure to subscribe to our channel and ring the bell to get notified about our latest videos.
Digital ID.
This government will make a new free-of-charge digital ID mandatory for the right to work by the end of this Parliament.
The ghost of Tony Blair is haunting the Labour Party to this day, so it was only a matter of time before he recommended to the government that they should resurrect his maligned ID card idea. Though the policy is deeply unpopular and was previously quashed by the coalition, he finally got his way, with Labour announcing that they'd be introducing digital ID that will be mandatory to work in the UK in an attempt to crack down on illegal immigration.
It's turned into an assault on civil liberties, campaigners say. The Prime Minister, they argue, enforcing a big brother state on an entire nation.
Although, those people are already working illegally, so we're not too sure that having an ID will stop that. It's led to public outrage, with millions signing a petition against the IDs, deriding the UK as a surveillance state.
Digital IDs could be in use by 2029, a year which not everyone in his party is convinced Sir Keir will still be the Prime Minister by.
The Met Police scandal.
This is an off-duty police officer saying what he really thinks about immigrants.
This man is a scum. Any foreign person has the worst deal with.
In October, Panorama released a lengthy undercover investigation into the Metropolitan Police. They wanted to find out whether the Met's culture had changed in the aftermath of Sarah Everard's murder at the hands of a police officer. Chillingly, it turned out that the Met's claim that it had stamped out its institutional racism and sexism didn't seem to be true.
I paid money to go to clubs and see women dressed like this.
It took 7 months to gather the evidence shown in the film, which included extensive footage of officers mocking women who had come in to report serious crimes like assaults and domestic violence. The Met Commissioner apologised and multiple officers were sacked, but will this scandal finally lead to improvements in the country's largest police service?
He's admitting to assaulting the juvenile whilst in the van when he pressed on the pressure points. Unlawful territory for me.
Unite the Kingdom.
Of all the people we spoke to, most talked about what they saw as British values and immigration.
Over 100,000 converged on central London in September to be part of an anti-immigration demonstration organised primarily by Tommy Robinson. There have been protests like this for years, but this one, coming in the aftermath of Charlie Kirk's death in the US, was the most extreme, with speakers directly spreading misinformation to the crowds.
Speeches were opened with a rendition of the Lord's Prayer.
Our Father, who art in heaven.
Then Elon Musk appeared on a video link to insist that Britain was on its last legs and the crowd should fight back, also claiming that civil war was coming. The protest eventually turned violent, with 26 police officers getting injured trying to contain the disorder. 8 people were subsequently charged with a wide range of offences.
Across town, counter-protesters from Stand Up to Racism, led by figures from the left and trade unions, described this rally as a far-right festival of hate.
Accidental releases.
But this is no isolated incident, just one case indicative of an entire system in chaos.
In a damning indictment of our ailing prison system, late 2025 saw multiple high-profile releases of prisoners by accident. 2 sex offenders were released from HMP Wandsworth in November by mistake, though they were thankfully swiftly brought back into custody. However, in the aftermath, data analysis has shown that dozens of prisoners are wrongly released each year, with the stats skyrocketing in the past 12 months.
We should not have convicted offenders released by accidents onto the streets, but it's been happening for years.
Worse, Justice Secretary David Lammy has launched public appeals to try and find released prisoners who haven't yet been recaptured. It's believed that there have been about 90 wrongful releases in 2025. Labour has blamed the Tories for its cuts to the prison system, though more escapes than ever have happened this year.
It started climbing in recent years and hit 262 last year, a sign the Tories say Labour cannot control the prison estate.
Trump versus the BBC.
We're going to walk down to the Capitol, and I'll be there with you, and we fight. We fight like hell.
More from Panorama. In 2024, the programme released an episode about Trump in the run-up to that year's US election. But in November, he finally found out about it and decided to sue the BBC for defamation after they edited together parts of his speech.
Two separate soundbites spliced together by Panorama, making it seem like Donald Trump was encouraging violence.
The BBC eventually apologised, but refused to pay any compensation, with various high-profile figures resigning from the corporation. Trump still insisting that he'll sue in Florida, despite Panorama not being broadcast there, and despite the programme clearly not damaging his reputation, because he was subsequently re-elected to the White House. He's trying to demand $1 billion from the broadcaster, and has even tried to get US regulators involved.
In a statement, the BBC said, "We accept that our edit unintentionally created the impression that we were showing a single continuous section of the speech."
The COVID inquiry.
Around 23,000 lives could have been saved in England alone in the first wave of the pandemic if the UK government had acted faster at the start of it.
After 3 years, the COVID inquiry finally began to release its findings, and they were damning. It was determined conclusively that the government did too little too late, something that most people could have worked out without spending hundreds of millions of pounds.
From this evening, I must give the British people a very simple instruction. You must stay at home.
The evidence also suggests that Boris Johnson went on a mini break in February, and that if the country had been locked down sooner, tens of thousands of lives could have been saved. It's also been suggested that Johnson may have lied to the inquiry, with some groups promising to take legal action and have his former Prime Minister privileges revoked.
The report also criticised rule-breaking by politicians and advisers, which undermined public confidence in decision-making.
Liverpool parade crash.
An estimated 1 million people had packed into Liverpool in the pouring rain to see their team on the top of a bus, parading their trophy through the streets.
On the 26th of May, a man ploughed his car into the crowds attending Liverpool FC's victory parade after winning the Premier League. By some miracle, nobody lost their lives, though more than 100 were injured. Liverpool was shut down while the incident was investigated, and people were given medical attention, with witnesses talking to the newspapers to explain what they'd seen.
My thoughts, and the thoughts of the whole country, are with all of those that are affected.
Police were forced to publicly reveal that the man was a white Briton to try and counter online misinformation. We later found out that he was called Paul Doyle, and he initially pled not guilty to dozens of charges. But then, in late November, he changed his plea to guilty, avoiding the media circus of a trial.
What happened here, where a celebration so quickly turned to confusion and chaos, to many tonight will still seem almost beyond belief.
Neil Gaiman.
A week later, I got the long email making accusations against Neil Gaiman.
In early January, a sensational article in New York Magazine was published accusing author Neil Gaiman of serious misconduct. The allegations were made by his former nanny, including that he had forced himself on her, while his young son, whom she was meant to be looking after, was present.
He was over 60 and she was 23. And she was a nanny coming into their household and meeting him for the first time on the first day.
Other women also made allegations against him, including a former tenant. The allegations began months previously, but it was the New York cover story that annihilated Gaiman's career, with various adaptations of his work being cancelled.
But it's all about connection, and it's all about connecting to other human beings.
He's denied it all, but is currently being sued, while New Zealand police, where some of the alleged offences took place, say they're investigating. Ian Watkins.
It is a case that plunged into new depths of depravity, according to the judge.
Nobody was particularly surprised by this, but given Watkins' notoriety, his death in prison was headline news worldwide.
He and the two women alongside him had plumbed new depths of depravity, said the judge.
The former frontman of the Lost Prophets had already served 12 years in prison on a sentence that would have lasted at least 30, though given the extreme nature of his crimes, he may not ever have been released. Nobody has to worry about that now, though, because Watkins was murdered in HMP Wakefield in October.
He shows no emotion, he shows no sympathy, he shows no guilt,
and in this case the evidence is overwhelming.
His ex-girlfriend, who was crucial in helping police bring him to justice, said that she was relieved because she no longer had to worry about him getting out one day and seeking revenge.
He says to the woman he's called that he wants to put out a public statement, just to say it was mega lols, I don't know what everyone is getting so freaked out about.
Andrew Mountbatten, Windsor.
His Royal Highness, gone. His Order of the Garter, gone. His dukedom, gone. And now the title of Prince, bestowed upon him at birth, gone too.
It was the moment we'd all been waiting for. Prince Andrew was Prince no more, with the King formally announcing that he was going to strip his younger brother of all of his titles, something that hadn't been done since the First World War, when various royals fought on the side of the Germans.
It's hard to see where he goes from here. I think, we may be looking at him being marginalised from the royal family.
This came in the wake of emails being leaked between Andrew and Jeffrey Epstein, as well as the release of the late Virginia Roberts Giuffre's book detailing her allegations against him. Sarah Ferguson has had her titles stripped too, and Andrew has been ordered to leave Royal Lodge. He's also yet again been asked to submit to questioning from US Congress about his links to Epstein.
It was after the Queen had seen what the interview contained that I think it dawned on her before it dawned on him.
Let us know in the comments which big news stories we forgot to include.